Welcome back to my channel, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Soma, and we're going to talk about trucking.
Oh, I was going to say, talk about how you lost $1 million.
Oh, well, I try to tend to stay on the positive side.
I mean, it's positive. We're getting a story out of it. I'm happy. Yep, today we're talking about your trucking company and how it lost $1 million, but you gained more in wisdom.
I'm so wise now.
You're so wise. Was it worth it?
I think so. I think it was
Good
really worth it.
experience?
Yeah. Wow.
Well, we'll start from the beginning. We'll start from the very beginning. You are an investor of many different sorts, but primarily real estate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so how long had you been doing real estate before you started the trucking company?
Yeah, so I like businesses. I like all kinds of the businesses. So, I've done, as you know, I've done a food business. We talked about, culinary twists. We've done all independent consulting, like software development, all kinds of stuff. And trucking was one of those things that I hadn't done before. So how this came to be is that one of our investors on Martel Turnkey basically told us one day that, hey, you know what, I'd like to get my money back on the latest investment. And so I was very curious to find out why he needed his money back. And he said,
I can just imagine that conversation. Hey, can I have my money back? Why? Why do you need it?
What are you going to? Well, it was a little bit like that, I must say, because sometimes people, they want their money back and they to buy stupid stuff.
Right.
I'm just going to buy
Crypto.
a car or something, or crypto. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to buy art.
Right, and so kind of in their best interest, your best interest,
exactly.
you're genuinely asking what could possibly be making a better return than this.
Yeah, exactly. And then, we talked to this guy, and he said, hey, I'm going to start a trucking company, and I have experience in that. That's what I'm doing. I'm managing a distribution center for a big company, and then I have an opportunity to start doing a trucking company, and I'd like to do that and get started, buy a truck, and start working on that.
And had he previously been in the trucking industry?
Somewhat. He was a manager of a distribution center, so he was dealing with a lot of trucking companies. He had a partner that had a trucking company, but that guy kept his trucking company aside, and he wanted to start
his own thing.
His own with him. So a partnership with that.
Okay, so he had experience in the industry, but he didn't have experience owning trucks and running the day-to-day procedures.
That's right.
Okay, so let's give some context, big picture. With this trucking company, how many trucks did you have at the peak?
We had 5 trucks at the peak.
And how much money had you invested into the company?
Well, we probably invested each of the trucks. So we had 5 trucks, about 8 trailers.
Oh, wow. So when you say 5 trucks, you mean the head?
Yeah, what they call it, the tractor.
The tractor. 5 tractors and 8 trailers?
Trailers, yeah.
I was just calling it the head and the body.
Kind of an insect.
5 heads and 8 bodies.
Yeah. So, so basically we had these 5 trucks, and and each truck was I forget how much it was, but it was $150,000, something like that. We bought it at the height. It was kind of during the pandemic, so it was very...
It's 2021?
Such high demand, yeah.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we had that context just so we understand the kind of the volume you were dealing with, which is, to me, is a pretty heavy volume for a new business. It's a pretty decent investment, right?
Exactly.
It wasn't just I started with 1 truck. You had 5.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason is that we had a customer that, and we had a route, and part of the deal was that, in order for us to be working together, you need to be doing a certain volume, you need to be a certain size.
That makes sense, because my next question is, what made you jump in so heavily?
Well, yeah, we're not, we didn't just buy trucks just for buying trucks. It's because we had, the contract that we had required us to have a certain number of volume to get there. And this is where this partner was really helpful, is that he had connections in the industry and people that had trucking needs, and then he would be able to kind of get us.
Gotcha. Okay, let's give the partner a name so we can refer to him when you're talking to him. We'll call him
What do we call him? What was his name?
We don't have to use his real name. We can use a fake name.
We're going to call him
Mr. Trucker?
Ronald.
Ronald.
Yeah, that's it. Ronald. Yeah.
Ronald. So Ronald is
Yes.
also our videographer who's sitting behind the camera right now, shaking his head. All right, we'll
Yep.
call him Ronald.
Yeah.
All right, so Ronald had these connections in the industry.
Yes.
And so he brought to the table this contract that he had already maneuvered, not necessarily won yet, but
Yeah.
he had established this relationship. And why was he interested in having your help
Yeah.
versus doing it by himself?
So that's a very good question, and this is exactly where I wanted to go next, because Ronald was working at managing this distribution center for I think it was a cosmetic company, and
Like
he said,
makeup?
yeah, and then he said he wanted to start a company, but he wanted to start it like on the side, like he wanted to do it on the weekends and evenings and stuff
okay.
like that, and we said, no, Ronald, no.
Bad Ronald.
No, we said, okay, well, that's interesting, but this is very difficult to get that going, right? It's like you have a lot of stuff, you have the drivers, all that kind of stuff. He said, if you really want, what's preventing you from going all in and spending full time on that? I think if you want your business to be successful, I think you have to be all in, and then you're going to figure it out
Yes.
As you go.
Yes.
So I think that's very important. You have to dedicate your energy to that. So what would it take, Ronald, for you to dedicate yourself to this business? And, and we told him kind of like, if you do that like on the weekends and evening, it's not enough. It's not going to be successful. It's going to take you 10 years and you're not going to, go anywhere.
Right.
So I said, well, I need to quit my job. I need to make this much money and stuff like that. And we said, okay, well, we're going to pay you a salary. We're going to jump in. And then he wanted to have another truck. So I said, okay, well, we'll buy another truck and a trailer. And then we'll hire a driver and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what the plan was. We hire you full time, and then we'll pay you a salary.
So was Ronald a owner of the company as well as an employee?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so he was both. You basically freed him from his job to dedicate this 100%.
Yes.
And what was like the structural breakdown of the ownership of the company for what you were bringing to the table versus what he was bringing to the table?
So at the time we were 4 partners. So Ronald, this other guy that he was
his buddy,
he was already kind of like getting involved, and they had like a small truck, like a cube van.
Okay, so they were moderately in
they were kind of
together.
like they were kind of getting started.
Yeah.
And then Antoine and I became partners as well. So it was all
Antoine,
even.
your son.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are new to the channel, Antoine and Eric do a lot of business together. So they generally go together when they're investing in new things. Okay, so 4 people total.
4 people, 25% each.
Oh, very clean.
Yes.
Okay. And so you guys were
we don't know the thing that was good synergy because they know the business.
Yeah.
He knows.
They have the knowledge.
That's right. They have the knowledge. The other guy knows how to manage, like we thought we knew how to get some routes and all that kind of stuff. So they know the business, and we can bring in the money and all that.
Money and scalability.
Yes.
Yeah, the growth.
Yeah, also process. So we kind of like good at like setting up process, scaling, and all that kind of stuff. So,
you're good at maximizing the efficiency for sure. You're also good at hiring too.
Yeah.
Very good at hiring. Okay, so you guys established this partnership between the 4 of you. It was a pretty equal split. Ronald quit his full-time job, started doing this full-time.
Yeah.
And then you said you needed to buy 1 truck and you needed to hire a truck driver. Talk to me about the process from going from that 1 truck to then having 5.
Well, so this is, first of all, when you start a business, I always say that you want to have a business that has good barrier to entry, that makes it difficult for other people to come into your business. Well, the trucking industry is probably one of the highest one of those that has a lot of barrier to entry, a lot of red tape, a lot of licensing and permitting and all kinds of stuff. So So that's a good thing that Ronald was able to quit his job and dedicate himself full time to this, because it took him a couple of months, a few months, I don't know, maybe 3 months, to kind of get the paperwork organized around the business, around getting the licensing, and then getting the first truck. So kind of finding the first truck, the right truck that we wanted to buy, because depending on with the kind of routes you're getting, you want to have different trucks. So if you go like in local area and stuff like that, like daily, it's kind of like you don't need a big van,
Like
a
big
big truck.
18
Yeah, that's right.
trailers. Yeah.
So, but what we were doing like interstate trucking on OTR on the road. Then that was you require these big 18-wheelers at the time, and for each tractor that you need about 2 trailers. So one that you're carrying, one that you leave behind, and then they fill it, and then you pick it up and stuff like that. So you go back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how it works. So you have to figure out the routes, your strategy. Then you buy the equipment for that particular strategy.
Okay. And so then actually, I have an off-topic question.
Yeah.
When you were making this deal and you decided to invest with Ronald and start this business, what were the returns that you were not promised, but you were expecting?
Yeah, we were expecting like a 35-40% return on our
Oh,
investment.
no wonder you said yes.
Yeah.
You were like, hell yeah, let's
Well,
do
on
this.
top of that, we also had like it was also in the days where you could do a bonus depreciation on these kind of equipment. So you buy a truck that's worth $150,000, a tractor that's worth $150,000. You can depreciate 100% of it that year.
Right. Okay. So there was like it was kind of like you weren't so hesitant to invest in these
Yeah.
vehicles because you could still count it against any profit that you made.
We had a big tax break, and we were expecting some
Good returns.
Good returns, yeah.
That sounds like the perfect investment.
Oh yeah,
Okay, you got through all the red tape. We'll go back to the story. You got through all the red tape.
yeah,
Ronald got his certifications and all the licensing that he needs.
yeah.
You have one truck. What happened next?
Well, because he was networking now, trying to find a route at the same time, getting the paperwork ready, try to contact like his network of.
This is before the route that you.
Well, yeah. So that kind of came at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we were kind of like we knew we wanted to do like interstate trucking. So that means that we knew what kind of truck we needed. So we bought one. We thought we'd be able to do it with one. But then pretty soon after that, once we got a contract going, then that's when we realized with the customer that, well, we need to have a certain volume. I'm going to sign the contract with you, but that means you're committing to buying more trucks, buying more trailers.
And what made you want to accept that contract versus going for a smaller contract where you didn't need to have that many trucks?
So I think we didn't have too many other options.
Okay.
So this seems to be a good deal, and then we were making decent returns on that. So we were pretty happy at the time. Yeah.
Okay. So you sign the contract. You start to ramp things up. You bought more trucks.
Mm-hmm.
What was the hiring process like to find truck drivers? Because I'm asking because I remember Antoine losing his mind one day when one of your drivers abandoned the car in the middle of. That's
right.
In the middle of transporting something.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know, why would someone do. Yeah. So what was that process like?
So hiring people is it really depends, right? So I mean, in those days, the truck drivers were in very high demand. Also, the truck drivers a lot of them were being paid by the government, because of the pandemic.
Stimulus checks.
So you had to pay them a lot of money to get off their couch and actually go and drive. And so we paid a lot of money for these drivers. And but then they didn't have too much of a good incentive to get off the couch and then go and drive around and stuff like that. So So that was difficult. And then as soon as there was any kind of hiccups, then they would kind of like, I'm
Okay.
done with this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then
There was, yeah,
go back on my couch.
I got it. What did happen with that person who just abandoned the truck?
Well, I mean, I think it was a she actually.
It was a girl.
And then, she was fired instantly. But what
why-
happened with?
Why did she abandon the
I
truck?
think she had a mechanical issue, I think, and then she was waiting for something, and then she said, "Screw this, I'm done. I'm done doing this," and then
Literally just gave up.
just gave up. Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm going back on my couch. She said.
I'm going back to the stimulus checks and doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it makes sense. I understand why that was a struggle both ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so then did you end up finding people that you could rely on in the end?
Yes, but it was always a struggle. It's
It was a struggle.
People go in and out, and then there's just like it's finding the right people that are motivated is
I
very
see.
difficult. Yeah.
And then what was the biggest factor that contributed to you closing the company? What happened?
Oh, so there was a real big disconnect between the prices that we were able to get and from the contractors. So we were
Yeah.
also looking for other contractors and all that kind of stuff. And we were talking to brokers as well to find like routes that we can make actually more money. But the industry, there's something very weird that happened with the industry is that the price of oil went up, of gas went up, and then but the price of the contract went down. So it was like we couldn't get like we were losing money every time we were moving a trailer.
Why were the contract prices coming down?
I think there was a slowdown. So a lot of companies all of a sudden they had like their warehouse were full. Like Amazon, I don't know if you remember, but
Yeah.
they were overstocked. Nobody was buying at one point, and then they were overstocked. They didn't need as much inventory, and then so there was no point in moving anything around. A lot of the ports were shut down or reopening and stuff like that. So there was a lot of
Wow.
and then so there was no demand for not a lot of demand for contract, and then the price of oil was was going through the roof. You do get a surcharge when the price of oil goes up, but it was not enough really to
cover
justify
it. Yeah. So this sounds like a very temporary issue. Do you feel like if you had started the company at any other time, it would have worked?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it would have worked, and you would have. We would have started the company not in California.
Okay.
In
So you
California.
started it in California.
That's
I
right.
remember you drove out to Fontana.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
For the
wow,
trucks?
good memory. Yeah, yeah.
This is all Antoine would talk about for a while because
Yeah.
it was supposed to work.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
But it was a
So
weird
close to
time.
working.
Yeah, it was a weird time to get started, and yeah.
Was there any discrepancy in like how you wanted to operate the business, like between the four owners, or were you guys all on the same
Well,
page?
at one point we got rid of one of the partners because he was.
Ronald's friend.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So then
because
it was just you three.
He was basically not contributing to the business, and he was taking all our ideas that we were planning for the partnership.
Yeah.
And he was basically doing it on his own on the side.
Why?
He also didn't want to follow any of the rules and laws around number of hours on the road. There's a lot of this. It's very regulated.
Yeah.
How many hours, how many breaks they get, all that.
Well,
kind of
it's a
stuff.
huge safety concern.
That's right. And
Yeah.
we have all the trucks had a computer on the truck, on the tractor, and then that
Yeah.
was camera facing the driver, so we make sure that they're paying attention.
Yeah.
Cameras on the outside facing the road, sensors, how much driving they're doing, when did they stop the engine, where they're located, which state they are as well, because you pay taxes based on how much your income is separated by the states you're driving on. So we're measuring how many miles you're driving on each state, and then you have to pay taxes on the states that you're driving.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That sounds like a nightmare for accounting.
Well, that's why you have to have the computer on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, so he just wasn't on. Was he just trying to cut corners and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, he didn't care about that. It's not,
Okay.
this is all BS. We don't have to do this and stuff like that. I said, well, no, I mean, I have insurance. Oh, the other thing too is insurance.
Was
I
the
mean,
insurance
oh
expensive?
my goodness. I think that, I don't think I can exaggerate the price that it was. For these 5 trucks and the drivers that we had, the insurance the premium was like, I think it was like $250,000 for the year. It was
$250,000 a year?
Yeah, it was insane. Insane. And that's because we were a new company. We didn't have...
Right. No, I remember this because after 2 years, the insurance rate would go down, right?
Well, yeah, we had to go and find another insurance company after the 2 years.
Right,
and
right.
We were
because
able to
then
do
once
that.
you were experienced...
Yeah, that's right.
And it's also because Ronald, although he had experience in the industry, did not have experience having his own trucks.
Yeah, exactly.
So he couldn't lower that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I remember this.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying if it wasn't for the insurance, you actually would have been profitable.
Yeah. And then we talked to Ronald's friend and said, well, if we were with Ronald's friend, if that was, we were expanding his business,
Yes.
you know, basically take his business and then move our
Yes,
trucks there,
yes.
then we would be able to leverage his insurance.
His insurance premium.
And
Okay.
then he was not willing to do that. So he was not a great partner. So,
But it's his own company.
yeah, he was kind of like, you know, he was given 25% of the company. He didn't do anything, didn't contribute anything. And it was just basically stealing ideas. And then, so.
You have this amazing opportunity where people are shelling out millions to be able to help you start
Yeah,
it. And you're just
yeah.
like, I'm going to do it on my own. No thanks.
That's right, yeah.
Then just leave. Oh, my God.
Because that would have been very beneficial. I mean, we would have saved like $200,000.
Which
per year.
I correct me if I'm wrong. I remember Antoine saying that if you had the lower insurance rate, you actually would have at least broken even or made a little bit of money.
Oh yeah, we would have made money.
Perhaps you wouldn't have shut down the company.
No, that's right. Yeah.
It would have maybe made it through that weird COVID period.
Maybe, yeah. But that would have helped for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about
We gotta
it.
give Ronald's friend a name because
Richard.
is that his actual name?
Well, his nickname would be
Let's make it. Let's make it.
Rich. Or Dick.
Amen, Dick.
Ronald saw me coming.
So Dick, who's literally a dick, wow, he really screwed you guys over.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it wasn't just like a little. I mean, maybe you're downplaying it, but to me, that's
No,
that's
no.
quite hurtful.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Selecting your partner is very important, for sure.
For sure. And it sounds like you had a great relationship with Ronald because he was an investor of yours.
Yeah.
And you were just giving the benefit of the doubt to that secondary relationship,
right,
but
yeah.
you didn't have a relationship with Dick.
Ronald was very ethical. He was honest.
Right.
He was a very, very good,
Was he the
good
one
partner.
when you guys had a meeting? I remember when they both came over, he was kind of a little bit in tears. He was so honored to work with you
Yeah,
guys, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He was very grateful to you.
Yeah.
Man.
Even Dick was.
Even Dick was. Well, clearly not enough.
I don't know, he's a good actor, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, he was like, I don't know. But yeah, selecting your partner is very important for sure.
Okay, and so when you couldn't switch over the insurance and you had all of these trucks,
Yeah.
what ultimately led you to the decision to shut down business?
Well, so we're trying desperately to find routes that would actually work, that would be profitable. And then, like I said, the price of oil was over here, and then the contracts was going down.
Yeah.
We actually hired a broker and tried to find the routes.
Wow.
And then Ronald was also spending a lot of time. You have a lot of services too, like with like Amazon, they have their own freight board that you can look at, and you can pick routes and say, oh, I want to pick this route, and they tell you what the price is, and you can go.
Okay.
So it was hard to find routes that made sense and all that kind of stuff. So, and we were losing $50,000 a month.
Ouch.
We should have started with that.
Ouch.
Yeah, we were losing
So when I
$50,000.
asked you what prompted you to shut it down, you were bleeding 50 grand a month.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, brutal.
Which is not necessarily a problem as long as there's hope soon at the end of the tunnel. But we
Right.
didn't see anything that was changing anytime soon. So
Yeah, you would just be shelling out money, praying for like a lottery situation where things just turn around.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then how long after starting the company did you say, you know what, we're throwing in the towel?
I think it was like 2.5 years.
Really? So that means recently. Because if you started in 2021...
No, I think we started, I don't know when we started, 2021? I think we started maybe a year and a half.
Year and a half?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not good with dates.
It was a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a year and a half.
Yeah.
I think it was when we left California.
It seemed a lot longer.
No, because I remember it was like around the same time when we were leaving California.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it was about a year and a half ago. I don't do the math. And in total, what did you lose out of pocket?
Well, we sold the trucks. We managed to sell the trucks.
Oh, right. You still had those assets.
Yeah. So we had to sell the trucks at an auction.
Oh.
So
Did you get
trailers?
Did you get your money back on that?
Yeah, we got our money, most of our money back. Yeah,
Okay.
That was good. Yeah. So that was good from that perspective. So we got a few. We paid all the loans that were on the trucks, and then we got some money, some extra money on top of that. But yeah, so I don't know. We probably lost like over $1 million on that business.
Man. And you mentioned earlier that if you were to do it again, you wouldn't have done it in California. Why? What's that?
California. The cost of doing business in California is horrible. First of all, the truck drivers, they live in California, so they expect they have a house in California, so they have to pay their $1 million house. They don't have a $1 million house, but their house is more expensive. So if they live in Texas,
their cost of living,
their house is like half the price. Their property taxes is half the price. Their income tax is they don't have the state income tax.
Yeah.
The workers' comp was like 5 times the workers' comp in other states.
Wow.
And on top of that, we have to pay taxes. Luckily, we were losing money, so we didn't have to pay taxes. But otherwise, if we had made money, we'd have paid the state income tax on top of that.
Man.
It's the worst place to do business.
Yeah, especially something exploratory where you're trying something new.
Yeah.
I feel like it's different for companies that are already established and they already have their margins and it's pretty predictable. But starting something new, that's intense.
That's right, and you have to be at the permitting, the inspection, all of that.
Yeah, California always is notorious for more permitting, more rules, more restrictions, more costs. Okay.
And you remember that, like the route that we were doing was actually California. One of the routes was California to Texas. So technically, we could hire like someone in Texas,
local to Texas, and doing the same route.
The route and stuff like that. And if the business would have been based in Texas, then we could have
a little bit different.
But because we lived in California, then you're screwed. Because it doesn't matter where you make money in California.
Is that part of the reason why you left?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Florida, great place. If we had started the business in Florida,
Team Gators,
that would have been very different.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, would you ever consider trying it again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the situations that led to you having to shut it down were just kind of like bad timing and bad partner issues, which are so fixable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
That it feels like if you were to do it again with the knowledge that you have, you could probably nail it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be great.
I mean, now you know all the rules, you have all the knowledge.
Yeah. But it's still, I still would want to have an operator, someone that knows the business, because there's a lot of, even if you start in Florida, I mean, they still have regulations and stuff like that around with the trucking industry.
What would you say was the biggest thing you learned from that entire journey?
I think the partners. I think is very important. I think we had a contract. So finding the business is great, and so we did have that. We didn't have a contract. It would have been better to kind of like maybe start a little smaller with a smaller contract and stuff like that. But we still kind of like, hey, this is a contract. This is a solid company.
Right.
Let's get going. This is the minimum that we have to do, and it's gonna get better. I mean, we couldn't have predicted the future.
You wouldn't have known.
No.
But I think maybe what you're also thinking of is like knowing that you had the demand for the business that you're starting.
Yeah.
Perhaps that would have been, you know, if you knew to dig into that, then you might have discovered that finding smaller contracts is going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But then that's only something you know once you're already in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so choosing your partners is a huge piece of it.
Yeah. I have a strong operator as well. So,
Strong
I mean,
operator.
Ronald was great at the admin work, getting the permit and stuff like that, managing the drivers, the schedule and stuff like that. But I think we needed someone that knew more about the actual, like, where are the best routes, where are the you know, the negotiating the contract, having a great network of people that.
Someone who is better at being on top of the business than in it.
That's right. I think someone that can really find where the opportunities are for the best route.
Because it sounds like if he was someone who had never run his own trucking company before, but was in the industry, it seems like he knew the details, the nitty gritty. He could organize that. But then big picture, maybe that's where his limitations were.
Because the contract that we had was not with the company directly. It was with, I forget what it's called, but the kind of like a distribution center, a company a trucking company. We were just subcontracting that company. If we had a direct contract with a company, which is what Ronald was trying to find and was hoping that he thought he had a couple of deals like that, then we would have had a higher margin.
Right, because then the distribution company is going to take a cut out of that, right? But it's easier to find, but they're going to take a cut.
Yeah.
I see. So relationships seemed like it was very important in this industry.
That's right.
Okay.
And also, it's very capital intensive. So at one point, because he couldn't find the routes, then we hired a broker, someone that had the connections and all that kind of stuff. And then they were taking a piece.
Yeah.
And then we were getting the routes from them. And again, they were taking a piece. They didn't invest $1 million in trucks, in equipment, and hiring all these people.
They didn't have
all they found is the deal, and then they make a cut of the deal and a significant cut of it.
So the lack of knowledge and the lack of relationships came at a huge cost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would have been better off to start a broker business. Yeah, no.
You should do that.
That would have been much better. I don't have to have the capital to do that.
Yeah, it seems like the risk is definitely on you as the owner.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, thanks for sharing that story.
My pleasure. It was another lesson learned.
Another lesson learned. With every $1 million you lose, it's one lesson learned.
That's right. So it's cheaper to go to university.
Just pay for your education. Otherwise,
I'm done learning
pay for it in experience.
I'm done learning now. No more learning.
Awesome. And I mean, if people were thinking or considering starting their own trucking company, is there anything you would share with them?
I think it's great. It's a very difficult environment. So I think this is, it's challenging to get started. You want to have a strong operator, and you have to have someone that has a very strong network and can actually get contract directly with the companies that need the...
And then also be prepared to spend a lot of money, have a lot of capital saved up because it's a high barrier to entry, like you were saying.
Yeah, and the people that survived in this industry, and they had their truck paid off long time ago, right?
Right, so their margins looked a lot different than yours.
Absolutely. Yeah. Their workers are, they're not in California. Oh, yeah, also that's another lesson learned. Don't start a business. Don't start a business in California.
Move. Go to Nevada.
Move.
All right, thanks, Eric. I appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you found this video valuable and informational. Remember, I'm here to help you make more money. And if you like it too, make sure you like and subscribe. And see you next time.